you are being advertised to. It's not just the brand being really nice and generous, it's marketing. Sending stuff out to influencers costs brands quite a lot of money. If you say, stop sending me stuff, they will. So this stuff is not a suggestion. This is not optional. This is the law. Brands simply don't want to pay for content anymore. It's just not happening. We need to discuss the dark truth behind PR packages. Was that too dramatic? Today, I'm gonna spill all the secrets about influencers receiving PR packages, and we're gonna discuss a few things like how and why influencers receive PR. Can influencers control how much PR they receive? Is it illegal for influencers to make videos about PR packages without marking the video as an ad? And does receiving PR packages count as overconsumption? But Rach, why should we listen to you? What do you know about PR packages? You probably don't even get any. I have a dark past, my friends. If you've watched my videos before, you've probably heard me talk about it. I have been in the influencer game since 2019. I started as a TikToker, then I became a streamer. I have worked with lots of brands and I've received PR packages from lots of brands too. For example, Colourpop used to send me an entire box full of makeup every 6 weeks or so. Even just back like last year, I received a giant PR package from Charlotte Tilbury and a couple others here and there. I didn't even know I was still on those PR lists at the time. My platform and content has now shifted to a more anti-consumerism vibe as I realized how much consumerism we influencers promote. So I don't think I'll be receiving any more PR packages anytime soon, but I've been there, I've done it, and I know how it works. Influencers and content creators receiving PR has been a thing forever. In case anyone isn't familiar with what a PR package is, it's where a brand or a company will send somebody free products in the hopes that that person will then show off the products and give the brand some promotion or a shout out in return. PR stands for public relations. And in this case, it's where brands try to get influencers to show off their products to the public in order to generate interest and hype for those products. Influencers do not get paid to show off PR. There is no money or agreement involved. It is purely an exchange, free stuff for free promo. And if you receive PR, there is usually no obligation to post content about the stuff you receive. At least here in the UK, brands will normally send like a little note that says, we hope you enjoy these products. There is no obligation to post content featuring these products, but if you do, please tag us and use either #ad or #sponsored. If there is any payment or sort of like solid agreement involved, it is then classed as a paid collab or a sponsored post, which is a whole different thing. But to put it simply, PR packages are basically gifts from brands. Some influencers will try to receive as much PR as possible, for reasons we'll discuss later. And things can end up getting a little crazy, like this.
Are you kidding me? I don't even know what to do. This is so much worse than I thought.
Yeah, as always, we see influencers take something relatively normal and take it to the absolute extreme. But first, let's discuss how influencers get on PR lists and the control they have over that. Because a comment that I see all the time when I discuss influencers receiving PR is, but influencers can't control how much PR they get. Yeah, that's simply not true. It's wrong. It's false.
It's a made-up tale. It's a total fabrication. It's an urban legend that never happened.
So how do these influencers get on these PR lists? Well, normally it happens by brands reaching out to influencers and saying, hey, we think your platform and content is really cool, and we'd like to send you some free stuff. If you'd like that, please send us your address and we'll start sending you things. I'm not even exaggerating, that's literally how it is. And here is an example of one of those emails I've received in the past from a very large cosmetics brand. Just slightly edited so I don't get in trouble for breaking confidentiality. But this is pretty much exactly what you receive. You then give the brand your mailing address either by just replying to the email, or sometimes they'll ask you to fill out a Google form, and then packages start arriving in the mail. It either goes like that, or sometimes it can happen through an agency where the agency kind of do all of that for you. Some agencies will reach out to brands and say, hey, one of our creators is probably a good fit to start receiving free stuff from you, so you should probably start sending them free stuff if you want some free clout. Sometimes brands will email you and they'll say, hey, we think you're a good fit, but we want you to apply to be on our PR list, and then they'll decide whether they think it's worth sending you free stuff. There's a few different ways to do it, but at the end of the day, you willingly give out your shipping address to a brand. So when I hear people saying influencers don't control how much PR they receive, I'm like, what? Once you agree to being sent PR, in my experience, brands will normally send you whatever they want, sometimes with like little to no notice. So a lot of the PR you receive can kind of be a surprise, but influencers can stop receiving PR anytime by simply emailing the brand and saying, hey, please remove me from your PR list. Or even something like, hey, please pause on sending me things for a while just while I work through some stuff that I already have at home. It's as easy as that. Sending stuff out to influencers costs brands quite a lot of money. If you say, stop sending me stuff, they will. So this is why it confuses me when people seem to think that influencers have no choice but to receive all of this free stuff constantly, forever, for the rest of time. Because they do. They absolutely do have a choice. I actually had this crazy interaction a while back that kind of inspired me to make this specific video. Somebody commented on one of my vids, something like, correct me if I'm wrong, but influencers don't control how much PR they receive, so we can't judge them for that. So I replied saying, why do you think they don't control how much PR they receive? Genuinely asking, because I'm not entirely sure where this misconception comes from, because I see people say it all the time. You guys know that I'm always keen to sort of educate people on things if I feel like I can properly educate somebody on something. So I went on to explain that influencers absolutely can control how much PR they receive simply by sending an email, and I know this because I've been on PR lists myself. This person then proceeded to call me a hypocrite for having my own experiences with PR and sharing the information that I learned through those experiences. It was a very strange interaction, honestly. I guess sometimes when people say correct me if I'm wrong, they don't mean it literally. Anyway, so if influencers can control how much PR they receive, why do influencers hoard so much of it? In general, people will naturally take free things and free resources when offered them. I'm sure there's some fun psychology behind it that I'm not qualified to dig into. Probably some like caveman type stuff, you know, about hunting and resource gathering. But I think we can all agree that it's natural to want to accept free stuff, especially when we know that those free things are items of value or importance or exclusive things. Most influencers will jump at any opportunity to receive free products. I've been in this position, I have had these experiences, I am not judging anybody for that. That is a natural thing to want. But if we're discussing specifically influencers going crazy for free products, I think there are 3 deeper reasons for this. 2 of the reasons that I'm about to discuss are quite obvious, really, but the third one I don't really see anybody talking about. And I've come up with these reasons by reflecting on my own time as an influencer, thinking about the sort of deeper reasons that I would always say yes to PR. I'm not sitting here and saying this is exactly how every single influencer's brain works, but I'm drawing from my own experiences and obviously knowing other influencers, having friends that are influencers. So I'm fairly certain these 3 reasons that I've come up with kind of covers the general gist of it. So reason number 1 is that receiving PR makes you look relevant. It means that a brand thinks that you, your platform, and your content is good enough and relevant enough for them to want to send you free things. That brand thinks that you have enough people watching you and listening to you and paying attention to you that they will see these products that you show off and use. But let's face it, if an influencer received an email from, like, I don't know, Kim Kardashian herself saying, hey bestie, we want to send you Skims PR. That influencer is going to think, oh my gosh, Kim Kardashian herself wants to send me PR. I'm gonna look so cool and so relevant when I post about that, and I want everyone to know that I am cool and relevant. It becomes a bit of a bragging thing, I think. It's kind of like, oh my gosh, look how many PR packages I have showing up at my front door. All of these brands are desperate for people to see their products in my hands. It's a flex, basically. And again, I'm not sitting here and saying it's stupid to want to flex that, because being deemed as like relevant by some of these brands is a cool thing to achieve as an influencer. Well, I mean, it depends on which brands you're working with. But at its core, I think that is reason number 1. It's a flex to receive PR. It's almost kind of like physical proof, physical evidence that brands think you're cool and relevant. Reason number 2 that I think influencers go crazy about PR is another obvious one, really. Receiving PR equals content. If you're a makeup creator and like Laneige, for example, are sending you their new products every single month, you can make content about that, which gets you views, gets you followers, subscribers, whatever, because you're now the creator that has all of the hottest new stuff. And people who are interested in these products, interested in makeup content, for example, will then come to you, they'll come to your channel for a first look and a first sort of reaction towards these products. And then of course you're giving the brand exactly what they want by showing off their products on your platform. And especially if the brand that's sending you these products, if you like the brand, if you think the brand is cool, if you respect the brand, most creators will naturally want to fulfill this exchange, this free product for content exchange, in order to keep on good terms with the brand. And reason number 3 is actually all about money. Money. But didn't you say that influencers don't get paid to talk about PR? Exactly. It is actually really quite hard for small to medium-sized influencers to get paid for doing anything. You can get the odd sponsored collab if you're lucky enough to come across a brand that's willing to pay for content, and that was very common back in like 2020, 2021. But these days, most brands will know that small to medium-sized influencers will make content about the free PR they receive for free because of reasons 1 and 2 that I just mentioned, the relevancy, and it gives that creator content. It is difficult to make money as a small to medium content creator. Like I said, brands simply don't want to pay for content anymore unless you have like millions and millions of followers, or you have like a really niche but large community where the brand knows that the content that they're paying you to make will convert into real sales for them. It's just not happening. So if influencers aren't getting paid money, receiving free products is the next best thing. For example, back like, I don't know, 5 years ago, I would receive things like shampoo, conditioner, hair care products as PR. And every time I would think, okay, I'm not making any money from this. However, now that I've received these free products, I now don't have to go out and spend like £10 on my own shampoo and conditioner. So receiving this PR has technically just saved me £10. Girl math. Apart from it's more like desperate content creator math. But you get what I mean. Another example is that I have received tons and tons of ColourPop makeup in the past as PR. ColourPop has never paid me a single penny to promote any of their products, but I have also barely spent any of my own money on buying makeup over the past few years because I just use the stuff that I've received as free PR. Receiving free PR can offset the costs of your regular purchases if you receive useful stuff, and if you use that stuff instead of buying more stuff yourself. So reason number 3 that influencers love PR is because that while they're not being paid for anything, it can reduce the amount of your own money you spend on stuff because you're getting it for free instead. And if you're saving money by buying less because you're receiving free products, that's basically as good as income, right? Yeah, that sounds about right. Hey, if anyone's looking for a financial advisor, let me know. I got this down. Okay, let's move on to talk about influencers posting about PR packages and whether this counts as undisclosed ads. I feel like for the topic change, we need a bit of a lighting change. Let's switch things up a little bit. So I've posted a couple of shorts recently about the issues with influencers making and posting undisclosed ads. So let's discuss whether these PR package videos count as undisclosed ads. Now we're about to get into some rules, regulations, and laws right here. So lock in, pay attention, because this stuff is like kind of juicy, actually. So with content creation and the rules surrounding disclosing ads, it depends on where you live as to what those rules are. I'm from the UK, and the rules here for content creators are that if you've been incentivized in any way to promote a brand or a product in your social media content, it is important that all of this content is clearly identifiable as an ad. This also includes, and this is important, this also includes sending products without asking for anything in return, aka freebies or gifts. And the screenshots that I'm showing here are taken from the UK government website. So this stuff is not a suggestion. This is not optional. This is the law. You are breaking consumer protection laws if you do not very clearly label your PR package videos as ads. Look, I don't make the rules, I just read them out on YouTube. So those are the rules for us here in the UK, but in the US, the rules are slightly different and slightly less specific, which is probably why US content creators get away with undisclosed ads far more often. So, according to the Federal Trade Commission, if you endorse a product through social media, your endorsement should make it obvious when you have a relationship, aka a material connection with the brand. A material connection to the brand includes the brand paying you or giving you free or discounted products or services. If a brand gives you free or discounted products and then you mention one of its products, make a disclosure even if you weren't asked to mention that product. So basically, if you're getting free PR products and showing them off in your content, even if you weren't specifically asked to promote those products, you have to make it obvious that you have a relationship with the brand. Now, this is where the US rules differ to some other countries' rules. Here in the UK, they are very specific. It's nice and simple. For the US, the rules for this disclosure are a little more vague. So the rules are that you have to make the disclosure hard to miss and use clear and simple language. But what does that look like? So according to the FTC, examples of this include terms like advertisement, ad, and sponsored, but they also accept phrasing like thanks to brand name for the free product. Whereas in other countries, simply thanking the brand isn't clear enough. You have to say, this is an ad, whereas in the US, you can just say, thanks, Laneige, for the free products, hee hee, and that kind of covers you. Another interesting thing to note about the US rules is this. On a space-limited platform like Twitter, the terms brand partner and brand ambassador are also options. Now, I have made videos on my channel before where I discuss creators who have made videos that include some sort of product promotion, and all they do is they put a little hashtag brand partner in the video description, and that counts as their ad disclosure. So you might now be thinking, okay, well, according to the US rules, that's all they have to do. So why are you calling them out for that? Well, let me tell you. While the whole brand partner hashtag thing does satisfy the clear and simple language rule, it doesn't necessarily satisfy the hard to miss thing. In fact, the FTC rules specifically state that if you're posting a video, the disclosure should be in the video and not just in the description. And it also specifically says, don't mix your disclosure into a group of hashtags or links. So what does this mean for US creators? Well, it means that you can simply say hashtag tree hut partner, for example. But if this hashtag isn't easy to spot, then the disclosure isn't good enough. Remember, the disclosure has to have clear and simple language, but it also has to be hard to miss. If you're just placing that hashtag in your video description on TikTok, for example, you're putting it right at the end of your big group of other hashtags, I'm fairly certain that that does not satisfy the FTC rules on making your disclosure hard to miss, because it is easy to miss. Your viewer would have to go into your video description, read through all of your hashtags to find that disclosure. And that's the bit that's wrong. In my opinion, the US rules are too vague to be fully effective. Ideally, there would be one set of rules that applies to every creator on every platform, no matter what country you're posting from. Because sometimes I see a video from like a US creator and I'm like, that's an undisclosed ad. I'm literally seeing an undisclosed ad right here. According to the rules of my country and lots of other countries, what I'm seeing on my phone screen right now is misleading content. And the thing is that that video, even though it comes from a US creator, it's influencing consumers in other countries. But we as consumers don't have any protection from that misleading content, all because the US rules simply aren't as specific as ours. So until these rules get properly standardized and also enforced across all creators from all countries, which I'm unsure if they ever will, the best thing that we can do is to be aware of the differences between the rules for different creators from different countries and get better at spotting brand endorsements in social media content, because lots and lots of influencers will try to hide these brand relationships as best they can in order to make their content look more natural and trustworthy and unbiased. And the thing is, I do understand that from the influencer side. When I was an influencer, I remember thinking like, oh my gosh, these PR ad disclosure rules are stupid. They are too harsh. I understand having to label paid promotions, like paid adverts, as ads, but why do I have to label something as paid promotion when I am not being paid to say anything nice about these products? That's not fair. Because the thing is, as soon as you label a video as an ad or as paid promotion, people think you're being paid to say things. You know, someone will naturally trust your review of a product less if they think that you've been paid to make that review. Right? So, like I said, I get it from the influencer's perspective. I remember thinking, like, this just isn't fair. But it is fair, actually, when you stop and consider it from your audience's perspective. Because the thing is, you've still been incentivized to post about that product. You've been given a reason to show people that product. Sending out PR is still a marketing tactic by brands. It's not just the brand being really nice and generous, it's marketing. And for the viewers, the brand is influencing your likelihood of buying these products by sending the products to your favorite creators. And this is the bit that's important. This is the bit that people need to be made aware of. The brand is turning the influencer into like a middleman, basically. The brand isn't marketing to you, the viewer, directly, but they're sending influencers nice little gifts in the hopes that those influencers will market to you, the viewer, instead. So yeah, PR package content might not look like a regular advert, but don't forget that it's still all a part of this brand's big marketing plan to get that PR package and to get those products on your screen. You are being advertised to. And this is how it all cycles back around to when I said that when you consider it from your audience's perspective, labeling PR package content as an ad is fair, because at the end of the day, it is still a form of advertisement. Aside from that, in my opinion, I think creators are also more likely to give good reviews about the things they receive as free PR. So we've already established that there are 3 main reasons for influencers wanting to receive free PR: relevancy, content, and monetary value. All very valid and understandable reasons. So once you secure that free PR, most influencers won't want to risk getting dropped from that PR list by giving their products a bad review. Brands don't want their products getting bad reviews, obviously. So there's kind of this unspoken feeling of like, if you say nice things about our PR, we'll keep sending you more stuff. Give us a bad review and you probably won't get any more free stuff anytime soon. Not that any of the brands that I've ever worked with have ever made me feel that way or said that to me, but as a creator, I think it's a natural thing to assume. If a brand sends me free PR and I make a video calling it rubbish, I'm probably not going to be receiving anything nice from that brand again anytime soon. Of course, there are creators out there who will criticize PR products when criticism is due. And it's honestly kind of funny to me that when an influencer does give like an honest, perhaps negative review of PR products, everyone in the comments is always like, oh my gosh, you're so honest. I trust you and your reviews because you always tell the truth. And I just find it so crazy that we as viewers are so used to being lied to by influencers, basically, that it's now like a praiseworthy thing for content creators to tell us the truth. Like, we're praising people for not lying to us because unfortunately it's all too easy for influencers to fake positive reviews for the sake of keeping their sacred spot on a brand's PR list. And that is another reason why I have come to realize that labeling PR package content as an ad is very valid, because there is usually some sort of bias there towards speaking positively about those products. They want to stay on these PR lists, they want to keep those brands happy, they want to stay relevant, they want to keep receiving things to make content, they want the PR for that monetary value, they have reasons to want to say nice things about these products. I think that makes the review slightly unbiased, and therefore that's why I do think that it's fair that PR package content is labeled as an advert. And lastly, probably the bit that some of you have been waiting for, let's discuss PR and overconsumption. I am the overconsumption girl, after all. Possibly the worst internet nickname of all time. It makes me sound like the overconsumption final boss. Another thing that inspired me to make a video talking about PR packages was this video that I saw on Instagram. Yeah, I'm not even sure where to begin with talking about this. First of all, something that I haven't even touched on yet in this video is the amount of packaging that goes into these PR boxes. These PR packages are meant to be shown off, so most brands do not skimp out on the fancy packaging for that reason. For a number of the PR packages that I've received personally, I have been so shocked at the size of the packaging or the amount of packaging compared to the product that I received. For example, this huge box that I received a couple of years ago, this held 1 full-size perfume and about 6 tiny perfume samples. It was beautiful packaging, but at the end of the day, what do you do with it? I actually still have this box upstairs in my loft, just hanging around, because I can't bring myself to throw it away. I'm hoping maybe one day I can repurpose it, but yeah, I don't know. Brands will try to make these PR packages as eye-catching as possible, and unfortunately that tends to create a lot of waste. I've actually seen brands doing this thing a lot where they'll send out huge, like oversized versions of their products as PR, and it's just a little bit ridiculous. Like, the whole gimmick here is that this is just a massive version of one of their products. Yeah, it's just all for show, basically. But I think I'll probably do a separate video sometime in the future where we look at specific examples of these over-the-top PR packages, because I have a feeling that this video is already gonna be quite long as it is. So we'll have another discussion about that another time, but it doesn't take a genius to figure out that sending people things in excessive packaging is gonna create a lot of waste. So what about PR and overconsumption? If you watched my last video about the Chick-fil-A cups, you might have heard me discuss a little bit about how the word overconsumption gets people quite defensive. And there is a lot of misunderstanding about this word because it isn't a solidly quantifiable thing. There's also the thing of people saying like an influencer getting tons of PR isn't overconsumption because they aren't buying it for themselves. They're receiving it for free. And I do see where you're coming from. I do, but you're still consuming something excessively. Remember what I said back in the Chick-fil-A video about replacing the word overconsumption with the phrase excessive consumption? By receiving all of this PR, you are excessively consuming things. This is excessive. I would love to hear somebody try to argue as to why this isn't excessive. And I think the thing is that influencers will often receive things beyond the rate of their usual consumption. Did that even make sense? I'm not sure. What I mean is, if you're receiving tons and tons of PR, tons of things like makeup, skincare, hair care, whatever, perfume, if you're receiving tons and tons and tons of this stuff, accumulating all of this stuff so fast, you as one singular human being are probably not gonna be able to consume all of this stuff at a normal rate of consumption. Like, yeah, you could go ahead and like waste all of this stuff, probably, but that is outside anyone's normal rate of consumption. What I mean is, if you're receiving tons and tons of PR to the point where you're not gonna use it all yourself, it might be time to start emailing those brands and saying, let's put things on pause for a little bit. And yes, you do see these creators giving PR away to their friends and family because they obviously know that they're not going to be able to use all of this stuff themselves. I feel like there is definitely a bit of a point to be made here about, do brands need to start being a little bit more, what's the word? Do brands need to start paying a little bit more attention, basically, to how much PR they're sending out and whether the influencers that they're sending PR to are getting tons and tons and tons of PR. Maybe that's a thing that brands need to start looking at. I'm not sure. I do think that there might need to be a little bit of accountability taken from the brand's point of view here, but I don't know. We'll probably discuss that in part 2 when I've thought about it a bit more. Now, this video that I showed you before, I did see this specific creator making videos about letting her friends come over and basically go shopping with all of this PR stuff.
My friend Kelsey is going to be taking whatever she wants home.
My favorite brow gel.
Ooh.
I've not tried the pink honey, so I think I'm gonna steal.
Yeah, take the pink.
Basically letting like her friends and family just come over and take whatever they want, which is obviously a nice thing for her to be able to do for her friends, but it still just seems so excessive to me. It all just seems needless, and I can't quite put into words why. Maybe you guys watching will be able to comment and put it into words better than I am currently able to, but this just is excessive, and I know I'm not doing a very good job of explaining myself by just saying that. I just think there must be a better alternative to whatever reality this is, whatever reality we are currently living in. Whoa, time skip. Hey, so I'm currently halfway through editing the video, so I've had some more time to think about this whole thing, and I figured out how to put into words what I wanted to say, kind of. I really dislike how modern day marketing has led to this. This kind of excessive gifting of free products used to be reserved for, like, celebrities, right? But now this is a much more common and easier thing for regular people to achieve. And with this increase in like excessive gifting and excessive giving free things to influencers comes waste. Speaking very broadly, like, surely this will cause some waste, either in the form of packaging, in the form of products like makeup products that are gonna expire before these influencers have chance to use them, waste in the form of like giving this stuff away to friends and family when the friends and family don't really want this stuff in the first place. This new reliance on like free gifted products and social media influencers is, in the long run, creating waste. And for that to stop, the way that these brands give out free PR and use social media content creators needs to change. Sorry about the noise, that's Mabel. I think I was struggling to put that into words specifically, because now we're kind of moving on to talking about social media marketing strategies, and like, is this more so the brand's fault than the influencer's fault? Because it is the brands that are sending this stuff out. Mabel! Shh. But as I said, I will dig deeper into this in a part 2 to this video, and I'll let me from yesterday carry on talking. She's nearly done, I promise. I think it also probably comes down to like knowing that there are people out there who are in need of like basic self-care items, and there are so many charities who are actively looking for donations of hygiene items and makeup and stuff, that seeing this just, I don't know, it just feels a little bit wrong in my soul. And obviously I can't comment on what every single influencer out there does with their PR. For all I know, this influencer might donate things, you know, like, what do I know? Or at the very least, like, some of them hopefully ensure that their stuff doesn't go to waste. But I think it's safe to say that there are plenty of influencers out there who just kind of hoard this stuff and try to farm as much PR as possible. I just wish it wasn't a thing, or at least it was less of a thing. Anyway, like I said, I will probably make a part 2 to this video somewhere down the line where we discuss more in detail the overconsumption side of things. I think I want to get my thoughts and reasonings straight on that first. I'm sure you guys are gonna have plenty to say about this topic, so if you leave any comments about this, I will make sure to read them all and use those comments to help formulate a follow-up video. And if anyone can think of any examples of like crazy PR packages they've seen, please feel free to let me know in the comments and I will discuss those next time too. This video has been my first ever like super heavy discussion video, so thank you for sticking it out this far if you're still listening. My next few videos will be back to more like react style videos. Next week is Valentine's Day, so I'll be posting a Valentine's themed video next Saturday. I've also had a huge amount of requests to make a full video about lucky scoops, and I also have my Q&A video to work on. There's a lot more to come, basically. I also post a brand new short every single day, so don't forget to subscribe to my channel to catch those. Also, don't forget to hype this video if you're watching on mobile by scrolling along the icons under the video and clicking on the hype button. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye!